All right. Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Cool Beans Hot Stuff. Um, let's see. Welcome back. I hope anybody who's watching this, hey there, Cutie Pie. Anybody else who sees this live and checks this video out on my YouTube channel. I hope you had a really good Easter weekend. I just got back last night from visiting my parents in Oklahoma, and we had a pretty awesome time. It was a lot of fun. So I hope you guys did something cool over Easter break too. And you'll have to forgive me here for a minute. I'm running some latency software. I think I finally figured out what the fucking popping and crackling is on my stream. If you've watched any of my videos before, live or the YouTube videos, I'm sure you'll have noticed a very irritating like that happens here occasionally, and I just started running a software to find it. It is my NVIDIA Windows kernel mode driver. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what that does, but that's what's fucking my shit up. So that's good to know. Didn't get a chance to fix it before this stream. Feel like I got my mustache is acting all crazy too, but I didn't get a chance to fix it for this stream. But I'll be able to fix it after this stream is over, and that crack will be gone forever. Crack is bad. Crack is whack. Don't do crack. Don't have crack on your streams. So, okay. Anyways, today, here, let me pull up my chatting screen. There we go. You don't need to look at my pretty face, anyways. So today is Wednesday, which is Wildlife Wednesdays on my channel. I go over some fun, entertaining, wildlife-related information, some sort of cool story, check out some sort of awesome, cool animal or something of the effect. Sometimes we do like nature-related stuff. This is my fourth Wildlife Wednesdays. And let's see, what did we do? We did Jabal on the first week, giant spiders. I feel like I've settled on at least once a month. I'm going to do a stream, a 2-hour stream, one Wednesday a month on some sort of really cool cryptid, animal, some hidden animal out there that I think is really cool. So the very first one we did was the Jabal, which is the Congolese giant spider, big ass, 5 foot long wingspan, leg span giant spider. So if you like giant spiders, because who doesn't love giant spiders, check that one out. That's a really dope one. And then we did a stream on carnivorous plants. That one was pretty entertaining. A lot of crazy plants out there just killing random shit. So if you enjoy that sort of stuff, you got to check that one out. And then last week, I can't remember. Oh, it was a kind of a very not so wildlifey as far as Wildlife Wednesdays are concerned. A lot less wildlife, but I did a stream on the oddest foods around the world, which wasn't very wildlife orientated, but it was probably one of my favorite streams that I did. I had a real enjoyed doing that one. So if that one gets like one, maybe a half another view on YouTube, I'm probably going to do another oddest foods from around the world stream. But today we are going to do the newly discovered animals from the year 2024, because there was actually a whole bunch of animals that were newly discovered in 2024. There is every year. We're going to read up a little bit about it right here. There you go. So we're going to read up a little bit about it. But yeah, every year there's a whole bunch of newly discovered animals that are newly discovered. They newly discover them. They see them for the first time, and I think that's really cool. So at the end of the year, every year I thought I'd do this stream, but since I wasn't streaming at the end of 2024, we're going to go ahead and do it today because I thought this would be a lot of fun to go over. So I got a whole bunch of different crazy animals for you guys, and I have strategically placed them into categories for your viewing pleasure to kind of give this stream a little bit of structure. The first group, first we're going to learn a little bit about the newly discovered animals that came out in 2024. Going to give you guys some stats and some facts, some hard evidence for you to recite for your friends and sound smart and shit. And then we're going to jump into what I call the Huggy Wuggies, which are the super adorable, cute animals that they found last year. There's a lot of them. And then we're going to go to pop culture stars. I'll explain what that is when we get there. Then we're going to dive into freaky friends and creepy crawlies. That's pretty self-explanatory. They're the really freaky, scary ass animals that were discovered last year. Because there's a few of those too. There's always a few of those. And then we're going to go into ugly cutes because I didn't really know what else to call these animals other than they're ugly cute. You know, they're goofy looking, and because they're goofy looking, kind of like a pug. Think of a pug, right? It's with its big fucking bug eyes. It's so lovable and adorable. You just want to pinch its little fucking pug cheeks. And so it's like that. They're ugly cutes, right? So think pugs. And then the lookers, which will be the really pretty animals that they found last year. That's if we have time to get those, because I got so many animals for you guys that they discovered. Those scientists need to chill the fuck out, relax a little bit. So I don't have to spend a whole 3 hours going over all of them. And that's not even like the top of the cake. We'll learn a little bit about how many animals are discovered per year and how many were discovered last year. And it's probably a lot more than you're thinking. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Question your world. How many species are left to be discovered? So let's talk about the animal kingdom, huh? As of last year, nearly 80% of American households have domesticated cats or dogs. These familiar pets are just some examples of the 1.2 million species of living things known by science. This big number accounts for your pets, plants, wild animals, fungi, single-celled organisms, and algae-like life forms. But more impressive is the number of species that have yet to be discovered by science. Let's dig into today's question: how many species are left to be discovered? A burp. Well, there is no way of knowing the exact date that early humans started observing and studying animals. They certainly did leave some beautiful cave paintings around 35,000 years ago. Oh, it's a sneeze. It's like right there, just toying with me. It's like fucking with me. Okay. Since then, we humans have been studying the world around us, including the biodiversity that can be found on all corners of the globe. We currently know there are about 1.2 million species to be recorded by science. So 1.2 million species to be recorded by science. What's left to be discovered, however, is very interesting. The number of species that scientists think are left to be discovered is around 8.7 million, give or take about a million. So they still think there is roughly 8.7 million different species to be discovered. That's pretty crazy. Now, I know for a fact a lot of that is much smaller organisms. They know, like, what did I hear the other day? The amount of organisms, just like smaller, like bacteria that live in the human body. We know they're there, but we have yet to even study even 10% or something like that of them. So there's by bacteria all up in your shit. You're just filled with germs. You're a disgusting motherfucker, and we don't even know what half of that bacteria is, right? So that's pretty crazy to think about. So that probably makes up for a pretty large percentage of that 8.7 million. Unfortunately, it's not like 8.7 million new species of really badass, awesome crocodilators and shark things, but there's still, it's that's crazy. That's more than I would have expected. Single-celled organisms included. Okay, these are not just numbers out of thin air either. These are based on calculations around ecosystems and biodiversity to help scientists and conservationists understand just how many variables are involved in our global ecosystems. Scientists say that 86% of the species that live on land and 91% of those that live underwater have yet to be studied by science. That's pretty crazy. Now, that doesn't, studied by science does not mean these words right now. Studied by science does not mean discovered. They've been discovered, they just haven't been studied. We got a lot of those that are going to be on the list today where they discovered them, they know they exist, we have a picture of them, we even have, like a body, I guess, carcass. We found an example of them that was passed away, but we have yet to actually study how they function, what their system, what their social systems and everything else is like, right? So it's still, that doesn't mean that there's 91% underwater that need to be discovered, but 91% of what's underwater hasn't been studied yet, which is pretty crazy to think still. So no worries though. Scientists are looking all the time. About 18,000 new species are discovered every year. 18,000. That's crazy. So as you can imagine, I had a really hard time breaking this down into the cutest ones for your enjoyment, right? There was a lot of them. So that's pretty wild. When was this written? This was 2008. They posted this article. I don't know about any of you, but I've noticed whenever I use Google, I get super old articles from like 2007, 2008. Those are always on like the first page. I very rarely find an article from 2023, 2024, 2025. I always get articles from about 6, 7 years ago on Google. I don't know what that's about. Could be the dead internet theory. If you don't know what that is, you should go watch my video about it. So what do these people say? What's this website? Worldatlas.com. And when was this written? It's I can't find it anywhere. I'm not gonna waste a lot of time looking for this. But what does worldatlas.com have to say about this, right? Well, how many new species are discovered every year? Our world is full of unique plants and animals, from tiny insects to millions of plants, birds, mammals, and reptiles. The earth is teeming with life. Despite our many scientists and biologists, there is still a lot about the world that we have yet to discover. Each year, a large number of species are discovered, named, reclassified, or categorized. And that is an important point that I wanted to make. I think that was actually the entire reason that I even brought this particular. Oh, they got some numbers for us too. Well, we like numbers here, so we'll read on. But that's an important point to make that I wanted to get through to you guys. Each year, a large number of species are discovered, named, reclassified, or categorized. So, out of these newly discovered species that we're going to talk about, that 18,000 new species that's discovered every year, a lot of them aren't necessarily discovered. A lot of them, a very sizable portion of them, were already discovered. We just thought that they were this species. And then in the process of studying them, we realized, oh crap, it's actually a new different species. So we have technically discovered a new species of frog, but we always knew this frog existed, and we just thought it was one of these guys. But now, after we studied it, again, remember 80 some percent of the wildlife on lands we haven't even studied. Now that we studied this little teeny tiny frog, we realize, oh, this little shit isn't in this little group of frogs over Mya. It's in its complete own individual group over here, and now we have discovered a new species of frog. And so that actually accounts for I don't know what the exact percentage would be, but a pretty sizable percentage of the newly discovered animals every year are discovered through that method. So that's important to know. Doesn't make them any less cool. They're still super cute and huggable. The creepy ones are still super fucking creepy. So doesn't change anything. But I thought that was interesting. You know, you get all those numbers and you think, Jesus Christ, they're discovering 18,000 animals a year. That's fucking crazy. Like, what have y'all been doing this whole time? You know, turns out that a lot of it is reclassification purposes, right? That happens a lot. That's a death's head moth right there. I got those tattooed on me. Those things are cute. I actually got not a live one, but a real one of those upstairs, like on a little pin board. Okay, anyways, before we can explain how many species are discovered each year, it is helpful to understand what a species is. The classification of life falls into a series of categories: kingdom, then phylum, class, order, family, genus, and finally species. This means that a species is the most specific way to identify a plant or an animal and is one of the most basic biological identifiers. Generally, a species is a group within which two individuals can successfully breed to produce fertile offspring. All animals, plants, fungi, and living things are categorized in this way. Yeah, that is a very important thing to note if you really enjoy animals and you're into the science of it. You just enjoy talking about it, especially if you're into the new, like the up-to-date new things that are happening in the animal world and the biology world and things like that. You'd be surprised how completely separated these different categories are, right? So kingdom is like the entire animal kingdom, right? That's why it's called the animal kingdom, and that's what a kingdom is. And then phylum is a more specific group, but it is far less specific than class, which is far less specific than order, obviously, but the order of magnitude in between them is pretty gigantic. I don't want to get into it, but the case in point is there's a whole lot of, you see people on the internet nowadays, they just recently, I think it's a few years ago, reclassified crustaceans and bugs to be in the same genus, or the same family, I believe it is, excuse me. They're in the same family, and one of the two, they're in the same family or maybe even the same order. and it might even be higher up than that, like phylum, right? But that turned into like a whole thing where people are like, oh, lobsters are basically just like cockroaches, and they're not. They're not anything any close. Like I think they're like three or four. They're like a species, a genus, and a family removed from each other, right? And if again, we'd have to dive into the very specific individual ones. But I'm pretty sure when it comes to like phylum, class, like turtles and people are in the same like class or even like the same order, right? And turtles and humans are obviously like nothing alike, but we're in the same one of those groups, and the same group as shrimp and cockroaches. So next time you're on Reddit and somebody's trying to convince you that you should be fine with eating a cockroach because you eat a lobster, they're full of shit, or they don't know what they're talking about. They're not even remotely the same thing. They're just in the same order or something like that, which again, when you compare that to species, they're so vastly far removed from each other. It's not remotely the same thing. But that's why it's important to understand that sort of stuff, right? Okay, here's the numbers. Biologists have determined that there are likely 8.7 million different species on the planet, but there are only around 1.2 million species that have been specifically identified and recorded. So that was where that 8.7 number came from. Remember that. All of the species on the planet, and more specifically, the species which are found in a given area, is known as biodiversity. How many species do we identify a year? Every year, an estimated 15 to 18,000 new species are discovered, right? So more or less kind of the same numbers. But now all of these discoveries are entirely brand new animals found in the wild, right? I told you that, so you already know that. Sometimes a whole new species may be discovered, but oftentimes biologists look into old research and reclassify already discovered species. A biologist may have recorded findings of several animals from a given species, only to realize later one of the specimens was different from the others. While all types of species are discovered every year, insects are by far the most common new discoveries, right? So there you have it. There's some good, quick little info for you to kind of get the ball rolling, all right? All right, so we're going to dive right into the animals because this is the fun part of it, right? And first up, first group is the um what did I call them? The Huggy Wuggies. I knew there was a special. And so the first Huggy Wuggy I have on this list is look at this tiny frog. Look at how cute that guy is. I don't even care if you like frogs. Anything that's that tiny and isn't a bug is super cute. And even sometimes little bugs can be super cute. Like ladybugs are kind of cute. The one that comes to my head is those damn jumping spiders. They had that show, that fucking Lucas the Spider. If y'all haven't seen that, it's this cute little animated jumping spider with a kid's voice, and after you watch it, you're completely convinced that jumping spiders are adorable. So, tiny baby frogs, though, super adorable. So, a frog smaller than a pencil eraser has hopped into the record books as one of the smallest vertebrates known to science. Researchers formally described the species in late October 2024 after encountering it in the Atlantic forest in southeastern Brazil, Sao Paulo state. Brazil's Sao Paulo state, excuse me. At a length of 6.95 millimeters, which is just 0.27 inches, 0.27 inches, this frog has given scientists a new appreciation of just how small vertebrates can get. The only known frog smaller than this, found in February 2024 in northeastern Brazil, beats it by just 0.02 inches, but struggles with balance. Huh. So, frogs in this tiny genus are notorious for their clumsy landings, often tumbling over or falling on their heads after jumping, which just makes them even cuter. Anything that is that small and also loses its balance and tumbles over like a little goof, you just want to hug it, right? So, this is because their vestibular systems were compromised in their evolution to be small. That's interesting. But the B. dasnus, that's this frog, retained its inner ear structure, allowing it to hear and leap quite proficiently. Researchers found that it can jump an impressive 32 times its own size with surprising grace. Oh, that's really cool. All right, so there it is. This is kind of what we're going to be doing. Just reading about these new interesting animals. You can see what they look like, give you a picture of at least all of them. The cooler ones, maybe we'll look up some extra pictures, but then give you some little facts about all these guys, right? This is kind of interesting right here. Recordings of its croak are more akin to a cricket's chirp than a typical toad's ribbit, would confirm it is a unique species years later. That's cute. That was in 2016. Muscat was on a typical, some person had heard this and seen this. But that's adorable. It's a little frog that chirps like a cricket. So yeah, you would imagine seeing something crazy like that in Brazil, right? So these frogs are usually speckled brown and white and have survived by blending in and laying low. Obviously, super duper low. Its tiny size helps it avoid predators, and the leaves of the forest provide of the forest floor provide thermal comfort, which might help protect it against the brunt of climate change. Super adorable. Look at that guy. I don't know if you really want one. You can't really pet it, can't give it too many hugs. It's super huggable, but, too ambitious of a hug and you might kill that little shit. Okay, so Sodwana pygmy pipe horse is our next little cutie. And I get it. Okay, that doesn't look as cute. That might not look cute to any of you at all, but it's a cute little pipe horse. It's like that big. It's adorable. Again, it's tiny, and that makes it huggable in my book. A new species of pygmy pipe horse has been described by the KwaZulu-Natal on the eastern coast of South Africa. Calyx nicosi is only the second species in the genus, with the formerly monotypic type species, another type, hailing from New Zealand. This is thus the first confirmed record of the genus in South Africa, the African continent, and the Western Indian Ocean. So that's what makes this guy so special. We have pygmy horses. This is a pygmy horse discovered in Africa versus New Zealand. Okay, see, those are a little bit cuter. Again, they're a little, we get all the rocks and they look a little dirty, but this is how small they are. See that? That's a thumb right there. It's a human thumb, and that's how teeny tiny this cute little horse is. See, that's adorable. So South Africa does have its fair share of these cygnathids. Okay, but with 27 species of seahorses, pipefish, and pipe horses spanning 12 genera. I don't know what that means. The new species was first photographed in 2009 and misidentified as a Hippocampus nalu. Color variations of males and females were observed and collected in 2017 before the authors collected another female in 2018. Another specimen formerly collected for the South African Institute for Aquatic Biodiversity in 1987 was later identified as a new representative of this horse previously discovered in Sodwana Bay. So, the Sodwana pygmy pipe horse is diminutive in size, the type specimen male and female measuring just 46.6 millimeters and 45.9 millimeters long, respectively. The female holotype and male paratype were collected between 14 to 50 meter depth over inshore warm tropical coral reefs. So this is what I was kind of talking about. They actually discovered these guys all the way back in 1987. They had formerly collected a specimen, but identified it as a different genus. And now they know, because of the location that it's in, that it's its own unique little thing. And so that's the Sodwana pygmy pipe horse, which is cute. See, okay, look at that. There's a much cuter picture. Maybe not. I think it's cute. Look at those big eyes, right? And that cute tiny little snout and these little flippers on its head. Aren't the cutest little flippers, right? They're adorable in my book. And there's a couple neat facts about these guys. I do spend a lot of time reading on certain wildlife, about wildlife, which is why I wanted to do a wildlife orientated stream, because it's kind of fun to read about anyways. These pipe horses, seahorses. Ooh, here's where they're from. Let's see, Sodwana Bay, type locally, Kiawa Bay. So right over there, this little corner right here. Let's see, can I make this bigger? Click a little bit. A little bit. Okay, so right over in this tiny little corner of Africa is where they're at. So not a whole lot of range for these little guys. You're not gonna find one in your local lake or your backyard creek, unfortunately. But I think so. Some interesting facts about seahorses. Seahorses have the highest kill rate of any animal in the animal kingdom, which means they succeed in most of their attempts to hunt other wildlife because they're carnivorous. I think not all of them, but a lot of them are, particularly the bigger seahorses are carnivorous, and they eat much smaller organisms like plankton and the like. But they have I think it's like a 99% kill rate. They actually create like a vacuum in the water around their little snout, their little snoot. It sucks in water really, really fast, and they succeed in killing their prey 99% of the time. So they're actually little killing serial killer badass motherfuckers, right? They're not just adorable. They're also super good at killing small shit. And let's see, another interesting fact about these guys is, oh yeah, I think this is the only species that we're aware of where the men carry the eggs, right? Like, so once the eggs have been fertilized, the male pygmy horses and seahorses have a little pouch that they carry the eggs in until the eggs hatch. So that's kind of interesting too. Okay, so there's your little pygmy seahorse. Pygmy seahorse is cute, but it cannot beat the clouded tiger cat. And this is an AI generated picture, I'm pretty sure. But we got a real picture down here. Look at those guys. Aren't they cute? Don't you want one? You want to just take it, steal it, bring it home, and just hug it all day. Of the roughly 40 species of cats, more than 30 species are small cats that are not well known to the public. Small cats roam the forests, deserts, savannas, and wetlands of the world and are important predators, keeping rodents and other small animals in check. Tiger cats, also called oncillos, range across the Americas from Costa Rica to Bolivia and Argentina. They are about the size of a house cat. Tiger cats live in tropical forests and hunt rodents, birds, insects, and reptiles. It is not exactly clear why they are called tiger cats, when they do not really look like tigers. Oh, I suppose that's true. There's nothing tigerish about it. More like a cheetah cat, right? Is that or a leopard cat? Nor are they closely related to tigers within the cat family. The spotted pattern of the tiger cat helps it camouflage itself in the darkness of the forest, similar to how tiger stripe patterns do. Until 2024, only 2 species of tiger cats were officially recognized. The southern tiger cat found in the Atlantic forests of South America, and the northern tiger cat with a massive range stretching from Brazil through Colombia, north to Costa Rica, and across the Andes into Bolivia and Peru. But now there is evidence that tiger cats should be split into 3 separate species. Researchers analyzed characteristics of all the tiger cats known, including their morphology, which is body shape, and ecology, how they interact with their environment. In addition to differences in coat patterns, the clouded tiger cat has only 1 pair of teats, while the other species have 2 pairs. The researchers concluded that tiger cat populations living in the Andes Mountains and cloud forests of countries such as Colombia, Peru, and Costa Rica are separate species. So this is an illustration of these different species, what they would look like. I don't know which is which. Do they have a... Maybe A is the southern, northern, and clouded. They look a lot alike, but you can see slight differences there, right? But so yeah, again, one of those things where they thought they had 2 species, realized there was a third, based off of studying their nipples. So, got to make sure you study those nipples. It's important. The researchers also looked at where each tiger cat species might live and made a map. They determined that all 3 tiger cat populations have much smaller ranges than previously thought. So, there's where the clouded tiger cats are. Then we have, let's see, savanna tiger cats over here. And then this would be Atlantic forest tiger cats over here. So, all in the South America. South America's so lucky they get these super cute little cats. Tiger cats face many challenges, including habitat loss, being killed while crossing roads, and hunted by people. Tiger cats may be more vulnerable to extinction than previously thought. Conservation work is going on across the ranges of all 3 tiger cat species. In Costa Rica, efforts are underway to protect tiger cats from becoming roadkill and to reduce predation on chickens, which minimizes problems between the people and the cats. There's that same pic. So yeah, super adorable, right? I feel like that's probably my favorite of the huggable cuties, teeny tiny little tiger cat. I think the fact that it's such a little badass that eats so much shit, again, kind of makes it a favorite of mine because he's a cute little guy, but he's also a vicious little guy too. And I think that's adorable. Let me make sure how many more huggy wuggies we got here. We hit these 3, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Okay, I have 4 more of these little huggable guys for you. Let's see, the next one, I got 3 on this page. So, okay, difference of opinion. A lot of y'all probably don't like rats. Nobody seems to like rats. Rats get such a bad rap. I believe it's because of the whole idea that they carried the Black Plague, the bubonic plague. Sort of gave rats a bad name. But personally, I think rats are cute. I think they're adorable. This was a 27 new species discovered in densely populated area packed with mystery animals. So this is kind of a neat thing. We'll read a little bit more into this happening in another place too, a little farther on. But yeah, so this was an expedition with Conservation International's Rapid Assessment Program. They did a species survey of Peru's Alto Mayo landscape in 2024. The expedition covered over 2,000 species during its 30-day survey. Of the creatures recorded, 27 are species that are brand new to science, which that's pretty sweet. So let's see, we already read that. They went to the Alto Mayo landscape that stretches from the Andes to the Amazon. Let's see. Tron Larson, PhD, the expedition scientific lead, tells people that the mission was to assess and monitor biodiversity and ecosystem health. Trand is a conservative ecologist, but also an explorer and naturalist at heart. He is also the senior director of biodiversity and ecosystem science at Conservation International. Yada, yada, yada. Good for this guy. This is about the Conservation International. We just want to go to this little mouse. What's so important about this little mouse, besides the fact that I think he's cute with those big whiskers and that tiny little nose? Let's see. Okay, well, I don't know if we're going to get into it here, but we'll read it here. This is a semi-aquatic mouse that is new to science, found during a scientific expedition in the Alto Mayo landscape. So this little mouse is, well, semi-aquatic. It's a semi-aquatic mouse, which I was hoping they would kind of tell us what that is. They found so many, like I said, 27 different species, which is pretty crazy. During the expedition's 5-week survey, scientists recorded over 2,000 species. Even more unexpected, out of the hundreds of species documented, 27 were new to science. Way to bury the lead, People magazine, including 4 new mammals, 8 fish, 3 amphibians, and 10 butterfly species. Additionally, 48 species are potentially new to science pending further research, and at least 49 species are threatened with extinction. That's not cool. Okay, but look at this guy. Look at that. I don't care what you feel about lizards. That's the cutest lizard you've ever seen, right? You can be like, okay, it's cute for a lizard standard. I think it's an adorable guy, right? You could kind of change the color. The color is a little bit of a poopy brown, and that's not so cute. But look at those big eyes and this tiny little, to me, that looks like a little mustache, right? It looks like he's got like a little grumpy mustache going on there. This is a new species of salamander that they found. So they're very surprised by everything they found, which is awesome for them. Let's see. My personal favorite and the most unusual is the blob-headed fish. We'll get into that guy. All right. Another new species found during the expedition was a new type of bat, the amphibious mouse, the climbing salamander, which we went over, and the squirrel. So this is a new species of dwarf squirrel. And I tried to find more pictures of these guys just to show how small they are, but they're small. They're like fit in the palm of your hand small. They're so new that they don't have a hell of a lot of pictures about them. They got like 2 pictures and that's it. But yes, they have. If squirrels couldn't get even cuter, they just did. Now they're teeny tiny and fit in the palm of your hand. They're like that. Little baby squirrels. That's adorable. And I think this just goes on more about the expedition, which is cool. Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, 27 new species in one go. That's pretty awesome. And 3 super cuties here: dwarf squirrel, climbing salamander, and semi-aquatic rat. I don't think they've named the semi-aquatic rat or mouse, excuse me. But yeah, out of those 3, I'm pretty sure this guy wins. I don't know about you, but I think the dwarf squirrel's the cutest. I still think the clouded tiger cat takes the cake for the ultimate cutie thus far. But this next entry might beat him in my book, just because of the name alone. Discovered in the deep. Meet Casper, the ghostly octopus. So here, I'm going to play the video of Casper doing his thing. Go ahead and take a listen.
Beautiful image here. Different than the 2 we got on video last year.
That animal is not in the Hurl Guide. The immortal words of Taylor Smith.
I can't hear what they're saying. I don't know if you can. I can't hear shit anyways. So.
I know somebody's going to be really interested in this image.
And this octopus is now confusing several of our shore-based scientists who have never seen anything like this.
So there's Casper, the ghostly octopus. He is new. He is the new guy in town. First spotted in Hawaii in 2016, more than 2 miles beneath the surface, scientists are slowly learning the cephalopod's secrets. So, a white octopus sat on the seabed, gently waggling? All right, gently waggling its short, stubby arms and peering with beady eyes into the camera. I almost thought it said peeing with his beady eyes into the camera. That would be an interesting trick and make it substantially less cute, though. Peering with its beady eyes into the camera of a deep diving robot. It was 2016 in the waters of Hawaii at a depth of 4,290 meters or 2.6 miles. No one had ever seen an octopus like it, and certainly not so deep. Based on its ghostly appearance, it was nicknamed Casper. Until then, the only cephalopods filmed at such depths were the Dumbo octopuses, which are also super cute, a little bit weirder. They might go into the ugly cute category. They're all named after another cartoon character, obviously, seen swimming around as deep as 69,000 meters, with elegant ear-like flaps on either side of their heads. The sighting of Casper was a striking moment for Janet Voigt, and I think we're just going to... Oh, no, here we go. It was like, okay, I hope they don't just give us a whole paragraph on Janet. You know, I'm sure she's real cool, but we're here to learn about the cute little octopus. That first glimpse of Casper threw up many tantalizing mysteries. Why is it so pale? Most other octopuses have colorful chromatophores on their skin, which change their appearance in an instant and act as camouflage to confuse predators. Even in the deep sea, octopuses can be colorful, like the purple warty Gramelodon. Some use a cloak of dark skin pigments, seemingly to hide glowing bioluminescent prey they grab in their arms and thus avoid alerting other predators. Voigt guesses that Casper's parlor may come down to a lack of pigments in its food. Another puzzle is the short arms, which is the cutest part of it, right? Anything with short arms is super cute. Maybe except for a T-Rex. That's like your one exception. Although Casper is not alone in having a limited reach. The shallower and more tropical you are, the longer and thinner your arms are, Voigt says. This trend tends toward shorter arms in deep-dwelling octopuses, doesn't have a definite explanation. Voigt thinks that rather than stretching out to grab food, they evolved an alternative tactic of twisting their bodies around so that their mouths on the underside of their bodies are directly above their food. Scientists have learned more about Casper by scouring 5 years of archived footage gathered on deep sea surveys across the Pacific. They spotted dozens more like Casper perched on the seabeds from two distinct species. Okay, well, there's another guy right there. It could be that they are fairly common, says Voigt. It's just an indicator of how little we know about what's down there. For Voigt, especially exciting were the Caspers with their arms wrapped around clutches of eggs stuck to tall sponges. Previously, she had theorized the seabed-dwelling octopuses need hard rocks to lay their eggs on. Further down, there could be fewer exposed rocks, limiting how deep they can go. Casper showed there are ways around that by finding a sponge stock, she said. Is this a breakthrough in octopus evolution? I don't know. I'm not an octopus doctor like you are. The sponges themselves are attached to rocky nodules that lie scattered across swaths of abysmal plains and take millions of years to form. If other deep-sea octopuses are anything to go by, the female Caspers probably spent a long time guarding their eggs. An octopus from another species was seen off the coast of California on a steep escarpment in Monterey Canyon, brooding her single clutch in the exact same spot for more than 4 years. Oh wow, that sucks. For now, the pale and mysterious Casper octopuses have not yet been officially named, because all we know of them comes from imagery. No one has been able to collect a specimen to study in detail. With an octopus, you really need it in your hands. Well, especially if it's as cute as that, right? So there's our cute octopus right here, which I still think the cat beats it. I'm not going to lie. I still think the cat beats Casper. Its name is really just what makes it the cutest, right? Casper was a part of another expedition that had at least 20 new species identified and a newly discovered underwater ecosystem. So scientists have identified several new marine species in a pristine underwater ecosystem recently discovered in international waters, and they expect to find more. Modern technology that allows for deep water exploration more accurately than ever before made way for the findings of the Nazca Ridge, a new seamount in international waters about 900 miles off the coast of Chile in the southeastern Pacific. Giulietta Vermani, executive director of the Schmidt-Osten Institute, told ABC News. Okay, see, what is this? A Helicolinus langerici or scorpion fish. These things don't look too cute. You know, this is kind of like some of the actresses out there. I had an ex-girlfriend that was kind of like this, where it looks cute from a certain angle, but when she turns her head, you know, she drops from like a 7 to like a 5, right? Unfortunately, scorpion fish is kind of that same way too. This is its better angle here. Pretty adorable with those big eyes staring up at you, but give it a slight turn and it's a pretty ugly little shit. Thunder outside. Was that thunder? That was either thunder or my neighbor Bob slipped and fell. Yep, thunder. Raining now. Okay, it wasn't supposed to rain today. That's kind of a bummer. I just sprayed my some weeds in the back today, so I'm gonna have to spray those again on Sunday. Oh well. It is what it is. So, anyways, this underwater mountain is nearly 2 miles tall and supports a thriving deep-sea ecosystem, including a pristine coral garden the size of 3 tennis courts, as well as a sponge garden. Researchers aboard the Falkor, a state-of-the-art research vessel, used a remotely operated vehicle named Sebastian to collect images and samples during deep-sea exploration with much greater accuracy and success than the satellite imagery used in the past to map the seafloor. And there's Casper. That's definitely one of his cuter pics right there. Some of the new species discovered included anemones, urchins, corals, shrimp, and a squat lobster. And then, of course, there's Casper octopus right there, too. So, this expedition also produced the first ever recording of the rare and enigmatic Promachatuthia, well, some sort of squid. The pristine ecosystem is so far from any coastline that it appears almost untouched by pollution, Vermani said. The region is a high priority area for international marine protection and has been earmarked to potentially be one of the first high seas marine protected areas due to the enormous biodiversity and the unusual geology. Oh, that's kind of cool. As well as the unique physical and chemical characteristics for that part of the world. And this is just about the expedition. There's a king crab. He's not so cute and cuddly. With the, you know, he would go in the creepy crawlies. No offense, crab, but you know. Let's see, 700 meters, yada yada yada. This is more about the expedition. Currently, about 26% of the ocean floor has been mapped to high resolution. That's crazy, only 26%. Oh, what was this? This was a cute little, short spine spur dog. It was documented on the seafloor near the unexplored seamounts. So I think they already found that guy. Incredibly for porn, yeah, which lies, yada, yada, yada. And okay, so there you have it. I thought that was kind of interesting that they, Casper there was also again photographed at this newly discovered ecosystem that again has been there the whole time, but we've only been able to check out because we can finally go deep enough that we can send robots down there essentially to get up and close and personal with all these little fishies and such. This is, oh, it is a video. Okay.
Every time we go out to the ocean, we find something new. It's almost like we expect to find something every time we go out. I think we'd be disappointed if we didn't.
That was an interesting squid.
And we were sailing about 900 miles off the coast of Chile in the Southeast Pacific on the Nazca Ridge and mapping as we went. And crew on board detected a seamount, a new seamount. It's almost 2 miles high, so it's not a small feature. So we went back and we did more thorough mapping, and then we put our ROV down, which is an underwater robot, which has a camera on board, and did some exploration of that seamount. So the types of species included anemones, urchins, corals, some shrimp, a squat lobster, and then maybe, and it's still under investigation, but there may also be a new whale from fossils that were recovered. So not necessarily a living species, but all of that is still under investigation. It takes a little while to confirm. But the experts that were on board think there was at least 20 new species, yeah. I do expect that there are many more species yet to be discovered in this part of the world. Not only new species, but we also saw on this particular expedition about 80 species that had never been seen in this part of the world before. So they've been seen in other parts of the ocean, but not here. So not only is it the new species, it's also changing scientific understanding of where existing species live as well.
Yeah, pretty cool. So that's kind of interesting how they do that. I don't know. That would be kind of, it would be a fun job just to see all the new animals. I don't know. Oh, wrong screen. But I don't know about being on a boat out in the ocean for that long just to discover the cute little animals. I think I'll wait for him to hit the pet store, bring him to me. And we got one more. Okay. So that was a newly discovered underwater ecosystem, which is pretty rad, pretty sick. Get out of my face. So I introduced to you our last huggable, our Huggy Wuggy, the Peruvian Yungas pudu, which this guy is like kind of like a small dog, but I'm going to throw him on the cute and cuddly list too, just because he's one of our only furry little friends that was found. A dwarf-like mountain creature seen snacking on plants in Peru. It's a new species. In the mountains of Peru, a dwarf-like creature munched on a shrub. The short-legged animal had lofty aspirations, or at least lofty cravings, and climbed up an inclined tree trunk to snack on some higher leaves. Nearby scientists watched the hairy animal with a growing suspicion that it was a new species, and they were right. Researchers suspected that northern pudu, a species of a dwarf deer that lives in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, was actually several species lumped together. So this was the same thing that happened with the clouded tiger cat. According to a study published March 1st in the peer-reviewed Journal of Mammalogy, they noticed several differences between the northern pudu living in northern Peru and those living in southern Peru. To investigate, researchers studied the dwarf deer specimens preserved in museum collections. A pattern began to emerge. Some of the dwarf deer had distinct orange-brown fur with a slightly different texture. Researchers realized they discovered a new species, Pedula carla, or the Peruvian Yungas pudu. The Peruvian Yungas pudu is a dwarf deer, a group of deer named for their stocky and short-legged builds that measure less than 17 inches in height, the study said. The new species has coarse long hair with an intense orange-brown color and is super huggable and pettable, too. And I bet he loves chin scratches. A photo shows a Peruvian Yungas pudu near some water. Overall, it appears almost pumpkin-colored with darker brown fur on its legs and lighter brown fur on its face. Aw, see, look at how cute that is. Peruvian Yungas pudu live in forests in the Andes Mountains between elevations of about 6,000 to 10,800 feet, the study said. The deer eat leaves and fruits off of shrubs and small trees, sometimes climbing inclined tree trunks to reach higher leaves and probably fruit. Researchers said they named the new species after the biologist Carla Gazzola because her actions helped to save the life of co-author Javier Barrio after a life-threatening vascular problem. Oh. That's kind of neat. The new species' common name refers to the county where it lives and habitat it prefers. So far, Peruvian Yungas pudu have only been found in portions of northern and central Peru. The new species was identified by its size, coloring, pattern, fur texture, and skull shape, and DNA. The research team included Javier Barrio and a couple other people. But yeah, there you go. We got a cute little pygmy deer that's brand new. Or, well, wasn't. We just reclassified him, right? Kind of like the clouded tiger cat. And I think this little fella gets the second spot. I still think the tiger cat is too adorable. You can't beat it. It's the king of adorableness, king of cuteness. This guy's a close second. And then I'll give Casper Octopus there the third spot. So the next group of... Here, I'm going to load them all up here, or get our third group loaded up here. Freaky Friends. Get all those guys loaded up for you. Our next group, though, is the pop culture stars. So what do I mean by the pop culture superstars? Well, see, nowadays, before, for most of our adult lives, the adult lives of most people probably watching, it was, baby boomers and Generation X that have been discovering all these new species. And before that, you know, was the Greatest Generation and the Silent Generation and yada yada, so on and so forth. We're now reaching an age where millennials are starting to find all of these brand new species, right? They're the scientists. They finished their schooling. They're out in the world finding all these new animals. And there is a distinct change that I've noticed with these animals that are being found. Whereas a lot of the older animals you'll notice that are found seem to be named usually after a person, like this little deer, the poodoo, the Yundas poodoo was named after a person who saved the person who discovered this had their life saved by another person. They named it after that person, right? That's super cool. People who name it after their kids, after their great uncle, twice removed, their grandpa, their grandma, whatever it is, right? Themselves. That's a common one. A lot of people who discover animals name them after themselves. But millennials, well, they're special because they name them their animals that they discover after pop culture references. And with that, I introduce to you the Leptanilla voldemort, or the Voldemort ant. So yeah, when us millennials, when we discover shit, we name it after our favorite Harry Potter characters. So Leptanilla voldemort was collected from a hot grassland in the northwest Pilbara, a region characterized by very hot summers, low average annual rainfall, and high evaporation. Both type specimens were collected from a 25-meter deep mining exploration drill hole using a subterranean scraping method, whereby a weighted net was lowered to the base of the hole and dragged 4 times back to the surface against the wall of the hole. The drill hole was in a dry drainage line with the subterranean substrate consisting of coarse alluvium near surface over banded iron formation at depth. Other organisms recorded from the drill hole include beetles of an unknown genus, flies of this different genus, 1952, and troglofaunal centipedes assigned to the genus, what have you. We are presently unable to ascertain whether colonies of the Voldemort ant inhabit topsoil, the subsurface alluvium, or voids in the deeper weathered banded iron formation. The colony size and structure is unknown. So these guys are relatively new. Brand new ants, that's about all they know of them. They have a couple photos from the ants that they found. Pretty interesting. They're like gold almost, right? Which is kind of cool. But this is what we got of them. They're so brand new that this is really all we have. We have a couple close-ups. Here's the 2 specimens that they pulled up out of that drill hole. And here's what they look like up close. So let's see. Identification. This got a lot of really big words in it, so I'm not going to go over that. It is what it is. Here's the distribution, only known from the type locality within the Pilbara region of Western Australia. So in Australia really is all we honestly know about them. This is the first time they've been seen. So we have one country that we know they're in. Estimated abundance, pretty damn small, right? Let's see, am I on Wikipedia? No, Ant Wiki. That's a thing. They have an ant wiki, a Wikipedia just for ants. Okay. Well, now you know that. Learn something new every day, right? So, yeah, pretty interesting, right? Not a whole lot of information on these little guys, you know, but gonna have to include them in the stream because they're named after Voldemort, which I thought was hilarious. So moving on to our next pop culture superstar here, the top-lane crab, the new species named after the League of Legends character. Furry crustacean is the latest discovery to be given a video game-inspired name. So, yeah, you better believe it, we are doing that too. So there's a little furry crab, and there's the character that it was named after. Supposedly because of the coloration and the crab and then the character. So, species of the crab family Xanthida go by many names: gorilla crabs, mud crabs, pebble crabs, rubble crabs, the list goes on. But when it was time to name a tiny furry new species from China, researchers drew unlikely inspiration from the video game League of Legends. Gothus Teemo was named after the character Teemo from the immensely popular multiplayer online battle arena, thanks to its distinctive appearance. So there's another image of the little guy, right? You can see the colors, Teemo and Gothus Teemo. Loosely resembling a raccoon, Teemo is small and fluffy with a brown and white intermingled fur coat. The new species' small size, densely covered short bristles, and brown striped coloration quickly drew comparisons. Published in the open access journal Zoo Systematics and Evolution, the discovery was made during an expedition to the coral reefs of the South China Sea. There, researchers discovered the new species in the Xisha Islands, or the Paracel Islands, and Nansha Islands, the Spratly Islands. The team collected specimens while scuba diving, photographing them, and conserving them for further study. The specimens are now housed at the Marine Biological Museum, Chinese Academy of Sciences, in Qingdao, China. This new to science crab represents not only a new species, but also an entirely new genus. Oh, see, that's pretty interesting. That's much more difficult to find, obviously. Again, we kind of talked about the categories. Genus, much more difficult to find a new genus than a new species. Sticking to a theme, researchers named the genus after a game, albeit one created 2,500 years ago before League of Legends. So that would be where they got the name Gothis from. They chose the name Gothis for the genus, drawing inspiration from the ancient Chinese strategy board game Go. Ah, look at that. I have never played that game. Don't know how to play it neither. That's interesting, though. The name alludes to the intermingled black and white patterns on the carapace of Gothic species, beneath which lie circular granules resembling the pieces of the game. Okay, so there's an up-close of it. Right, can't throw him in the huggable cuties, per se, but, still really cool. Didn't want to throw him in the creepy crawlies either, right? But the name alludes to, as part of their study, the researchers suggested the reclassification of the species Acta consobrina into the genus Gothis. This reclassification was based on both morphology and molecular evidence. So this is another little crab that was added to the genus, but we already discovered him. Gothis timo is by no means the only new species named after a video game character. Just last week, we shared a story from our Biodiversity Data Journal about a blind spider named after the Monster Hunter character Kezu. Check out the story below. There must be the story there. Gothis timo is yet another reminder that countless unknown creatures are just waiting to be discovered. The coral reefs of the South China Sea continue to be a rich source of new and fascinating species. And who knows, perhaps there's a Gothis tristana out there too. For those of you that play League of Legends, maybe you got that joke. It's above my pay grade. But, so, there's our second star, Gothis timo. I'm still going to throw the Voldemort ants up top. One, just because that gold color it has is kind of cool, but we just know so little about it. And I think somebody naming something after a Harry Potter character is just hilarious, right? Maybe because I'm a millennial and I don't know how many millennials have experience with League of Legends. I don't know if that's a little bit more of a Generation Z thing, but Harry Potter was definitely a millennial thing, right? Like we all grew up going to school and having teachers read those books to us. But here's somebody everybody knows. Meet DiCaprio's Himalayan serpent. Yeah, somebody named a new snake after Leonardo DiCaprio. In June 2020, during the pandemic, Virender Bhardwaj, currently a doctoral student at Mizoram University, was exploring his backyard at his home in Himachal Pradesh in the western Himalayas when he encountered an intriguing snake. This dude just found it in his backyard, supposedly. That's crazy. He uploaded his photos on a social media app, Instagram, and the images popped up on the feed of his colleague, Zishin Mirza. This led to 3 years of detailed investigations to identify the snake. The team recently published a paper revealing the discovery of an entirely new snake genus and species. So again, with the new genus, the snake resembled another species known to be distributed in the eastern Himalayas. However, the researchers noted that the population from Himachal Pradesh differed from that same species found in Sikkim, with differences observed in the scales on the head and general coloration. The team confirmed this after examining specimens from natural history museums across Europe, the USA, and India. After comparing the DNA sequences generated from the snake with those of known species from across Asia, the researchers concluded that the snake from Himachal Pradesh is related to the Laiopeltis. We're going to see that word again. So Laiopeltis, we got to remember that. But differs in several aspects to be called a new species. Both species belong to a new genus, endemic to the Himalayas. This genus, Anguicus, refers to small snake in Latin. In honor of the American actor and environmentalist Leonardo DiCaprio's work in creating awareness about increased biodiversity loss and climate change, the team named the snake Anchuius DiCaprioi, Anchuicolus DiCaprioi, with the suggested common name DiCaprio's Himalayan snake. So that's a new one. So there he is, small snake too, but kind of pretty. You know, I like snakes. I think snakes are gorgeous animals. This one, I mean, that color is really cool, kind of like a bronze. That's neat. That's a dope snake. So, yeah, dude found it in his fucking backyard. How crazy is that shit? You know, it makes you wonder how many new species of like bug or like frog or some shit you've like seen in your backyard and just been like, huh, that's weird. And like, whatever, you just like shrug it off and then never see it again. And it was like, bro, you could have discovered a new species, but you didn't. You could have named it after your favorite actor too, but you didn't. You were high and you didn't care. When I was a kid, I remember, I forgot where I found it, but I was somewhere along the base of my house outside. We had a little cement pad out in front of my house, and it butted up against the bottom of the house, and there was a whole mess of spider webs there. And for some dumb fucking reason, I was a kid and in middle school, and I thought it'd be really cool to play in those spider webs, because that's always a great fucking idea, right? And I found this big ass giant beetle. I mean, it was like a good 3 inches, 4 inches long. It was like that. Massive fucking beetle, bite your foot off style, right? Big old creepy ass giant antenna coming off its head, a really thick hard shell on the back, dark brown, black, looked like a giant, kind of like a giant cockroach, but it wasn't. It didn't end up being giant. I don't know what it actually ended up being, because I thought it was really cool. So I took it, I put it in a jar, showed it to my dad. He said he'd never seen a single thing like that around the house, but was kind of freaked out. So he sprayed pretty hardcore around the house, because you don't really want to like wake up in bed and see one of these fuckers like perched on your chest, like, give me your money. No, but you wouldn't want to see one of those fuckers, right, crawling in your bed at night. And so anyways, I put it in a jar, locked it up, and brought it to my science class for my science teacher, who thought it was super cool. I said, oh my God, I've never seen this bug ever in my life. And he said, could I, keep it for a couple days and I'll do some research on it? And I said, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. You have fun with your little fucking bug, I guess. And I never did see that bug again. I think I brought it up to him once in the year, and he said, oh yeah, I was looking into it, still haven't really found what it is, and I said, oh, okay, like, can I get it back? And he said, yeah, sure, when I'm done researching it, I'll give it back to you. And son of a bitch never gave me my bug back, which I'm going to be honest, I wasn't all that broken up about, because it was a pretty ugly little shit, and I'm not a bug guy per se, right? I think snakes are pretty cool. I think mice are cute. All right. I like my Casper octopuses and my clouded tiger cats and my little poodoos, but I'm not down with bugs for the most part. I don't think bugs are particularly awesome. I get that they do a lot and that's cool and everything, but I prefer it if they do all the important shit that they do away from me. Right. So, but anyways, I never did get that giant ass beetle back. I never did find out what it was. And for all I know, son of a bitch discovered a new species and got rich and famous off of it. And he's out there somewhere getting all the girls because he discovered a new kind of cockroach. But anyways, yeah, thought that was crazy though. Discovered this new snake in his backyard. And so there's the differences between the two snakes. This is a pretty long article. We're not going to dive into it. I just wanted to show you all the crazy things that millennials are naming their brand new pets after. We got Leonardo DiCaprio here. We got Voldemort. And you got Teemo from your League of Legends, for all you League of Legends and gamers out there. I still think the coolest one, I like snakes, so I'm going to go with DiCaprio snake. DiCaprio's Himalayan serpent is kind of a neat name in itself. The Voldemort ant is still pretty cool anyways. We got a couple more pop culture references. That's not all of the famous snakes we have. We also have 7 newly described frog species, all named after Star Trek characters. Yeah, the part of the Bufus genus. So, yeah, that's a thing. There is a genus of frogs called the Bufus frogs, and there's 7 of them, and they are all named after Star Trek characters. I'm not a Star Trek fan, so If they didn't mention it in the article, I would have never known that. But for all you Star Trek fans out there, let's go ahead and read about it. This week, scientists named 7 newly discovered frog species. Scientists discovered thousands of new species every year, but these have a special claim to fame. They pay homage to Star Trek. Mark Schurz, one of the authors on the paper about these amphibians and a curator of herpetology, that's reptiles and amphibians, at the Natural History Museum of Denmark. He says these frogs' calls sound so much like the futuristic sounding whistles and beeps of the Star Trek series that they named each of the 7 after a captain. These frogs live in humid rainforests in northern and eastern Madagascar, often near fast-flowing rivers. Generally, frog calls come in a variety of different flavors, but these tree frogs' high-pitched futuristic sounds may help male frogs attract females over the sound of nearby rushing water. The 7 new species are closely related to another species, Buphus margisinensis, that researchers have known about since the mid-1990s. But when they looked at genetic information of these frogs and their calls, among other things, they realized there were 7 distinct species beyond the original. When it came time to name the new frogs, Schurz and some of his collaborators couldn't pass up the opportunity to reference their love of Star Trek. Schurz said the study's first author, Miguel Vences, is also a fan. The two bonded over their love of the series when Schurz was beginning his career as a researcher. And this is how they got into that. There are over 400 known amphibian species in Madagascar, and Schurz guesses there could be hundreds more that scientists have not described. Schurz says the Star Trek names also nod to the challenges of studying amphibians and the sense of wonder in all the undiscovered and undescribed species out there. Star Trek is about science, it's about discovery, it's about exploration and the importance of those things to humanity and our place in the universe, he says. Evolutionary biologist J.J. Apodaca, the executive director of the Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy, says any new information could help advance conservation efforts for these creatures. Amphibians are one of the most endangered groups in the world and have had incredible rates of decline over the last 2 to 4 decades. So any progress we can make to understand that diversity is a really good step forward. So where are the 7 names? I wanted to see the names of all 7 Buphuses. Here. Let's open this real quick. Ooh, heartburn. Nope. Not that one. Let's see. There's Buphus siskoi up here. Okay. That's a bummer. Give me a minute. Chew this. We're going to have to find out the names of these 7 frogs with a little bit of research. That was NPR. NPR did me dirty. So, the research team who discovered the frogs have named the species after 7 legendary captains: Kirk, Picard, Sisko, Janeway, Archer, Burnham, and Pike. So for all you Star Wars fans, there you go. You got 7 new frogs named after your favorite Star Trek captains. And I never did see a whole lot of pictures about them neither. I did research them, didn't find a whole lot of pictures, but they already got cool enough names. So the last entry we have into pop culture superstars is Robert Irwin, actually. Millennials will know who he is, or at least know his father, Steve Irwin. Robert Irwin is thrilled and honored for new snail species discovered in Australia to be named after him. The Robert Irwin's banded snail. It's a dark brown body and a shell with black, dark brown, and light brown colors. There's the snail, there's the guy. Pretty much look exactly alike, right? Almost unmistakable. Could be twins. Robert Irwin is following in the footsteps of his family by getting a creature named after him. So this is kind of cool. On April 21st, the 20-year-old conservationist and son of Steve Irwin, announced he had a newly discovered snail species in Australia named after him on X. Per a press release obtained by People from the Australian Zoo, the new species discovered in South Queensland was dubbed by scientists the Robert Irwin's banded snail. In scientific terms, yeah, we're not going to go over that, and is one of our 4 species of land snails discovered within the Camenids group of forest and rock snails, according to the release. Scientists said they decided to bestow this honor to the conservationist due to his love for wildlife and the natural world, something Robert said is so important to him. I'm incredibly thrilled and honored to have a new species of snail named after me, he said in a statement in the release. This recognition is so meaningful, and I hope to draw attention to the importance of protecting all species, even those on a much smaller scale. So there are some more photos of the snail. The new species was discovered thanks to a new study conducted by Dr. Laurel Stanisic, Dr. John Stanisic, OAM, and Dr. Frank Kohler, in collaboration with Queensland Museum and Griffith University, which sought to identify the different land snails. It utilizes dissections of reproductive structures and DNA analysis of animal tissue to identify the species. So, Robert follows in the footsteps of his family members, including his sister Bindi Irwin, who previously had a tiny chiropod land snail named after her, and their father, Steve Irwin, who had the rare and endangered Crikey Steve Irwini, Steve Irwin's tree snail, named after him. The Crikey Steve Irwini. That's pretty cool. The Robert Irwin's banded snail can be found in dry vine thickets north of the Colin River in Australia to the Many Peaks Range in southeast Queensland. So that's pretty cool. And there's his TikTok about it. That's pretty neat, though. I like that. Just had to bring that up because his dad's got a snail named after him. We all remember and love his dad. You know, I think that's why you find so many millennials that are such big animal lovers, is because of people like Steve Irwin made their whole career off of introducing millennials to all these crazy different animals we didn't know. And so you see a lot of people in our generation and the younger generations that really enjoy wildlife-oriented stuff, same as I do. So that's pretty cool that him, and then of course his sister after his dad too, all 3 of them now have a snail named after them. So pretty big honor right there, I suppose. And that takes the cake for all of our 7 pop culture superstars. And let's see, that gives us about 50 minutes left. Okay, we'll just keep going then. I don't feel like taking a pee or anything like that right now. Let's see. Next one we'll jump into here. Let me load a couple web pages. Ugly Cutes. You're up next. Or nope. Up next is Freaky Friends and Creepy Crawlies. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like we got 5 of these guys. Okay, so not as many as there wasn't nearly as many Freaky Friends or Creepy Crawlies that were discovered as the Huggable Cuties, the Huggy Wuggies. Or maybe it's just that I enjoyed the Huggy Wuggies more, so I included more of them. But yeah, as far as the pop culture superstars go, I still think the Leonardo DiCaprio snake takes the cake. So, but the Steve Irwin snail is pretty cool. All right, so hope you guys are ready for something freaky, creepy, crawly. Here we go with Freaky Friends and Creepy Crawlies. So there is a new species of predatory flatworm invading the southern United States. Amaga pseudobama has been found in 3 locations in North Carolina and some infested plants from Georgia. So these are what these guys look like. And interesting fact about these little dudes right here, I did some researching on them. They're some of the only animals, I believe, that can fully regenerate entire sections of their body. We're talking over 3/4 of their body they can regenerate. If you slice off, say, I don't know which end's the head, we're going to say it's this. You slice off everything behind this, that head can regrow that entire body, which is pretty crazy. Really interesting. So there are many types of flatworms, but most of them are aquatic, said North Carolina State University diagnostic entomologist, that's quite a career mouthful, a career title, Matt Bertoni. Most of the flatworms that you do find on land exist in tropical ecosystems, so it was somewhat surprising to find a terrestrial flatworm species in North Carolina that was unknown to science. Free-living flatworms, the ones that aren't parasites, are predators that feed on other soft-bodied organisms, such as earthworms and slugs. And people are often concerned that unidentified flatworms may be toxic, may be carrying parasites, or may be invasive species that pose a threat to native ecosystems. So this guy isn't just creepy. He's not just impossible to defeat. He's also bad guy. He's an invasive species that's fucking shit up in North Carolina. First spotted in 2022. The new species is a flatworm, brown in color, a few centimeters in length. Well, thank God they're not super huge. The first information received about the species was photos, and the research then believed that the species belonged to Obama nungara, an invasive flatworm species native to Brazil and Argentina that has invaded much of Europe. But after a molecular study, it became clear that the species, now named Amaga pseudoobama, was very different from Obama nungara. The scientists then carried out a detailed morphological analysis and a molecular study, including the description of the complete mitogenome. Like Obama nungara, Amaga pseudoobama comes from, we're going to call one the real Obama and the other is going to be the fake Obama, because I think that's funner, comes from South America. However, it has never been seen or analyzed in South America. Oh, that's interesting. Apart from North Carolina, the species is also present in Florida, Georgia, and may have already invaded other states. It joins other invasive flatworm species discovered in the southern United States, including, oh, geez, that's quite a big one. This guy right here, the monoquari. It has not been observed in the wild or native habitats, so we don't know much about how it interacts with its environment, Dr. Bertoni said. We can infer from what we know about related species, but we don't know precisely what it preys on, how quickly it reproduces, and so on. Amaga pseudoobama, the fake Obama, may be found across the southeast. It's also possible that these were merely isolated instances. We just don't know. Until we have more confirmed observations of the species, we won't know how established they are. Finding a new flatworm species is not necessarily a surprise. These animals are so little studied that there are likely many species awaiting discovery. However, the fact that we know so little about them is one reason they are worth paying attention to. Okay, so there you have it. There's your first creepy crawly invasive earthworm species that, well, you don't have to use much of your imagination to guess what that looks like. But pretty creepy that they can grow parts of their body back too. Probably, very useful to science though. No matter how creepy a bug might be, science will find a way to do something with it, right? So there's your first creepy crawly, right? Don't want to invite that one into bed with you. Don't want to give him any cuddles anytime soon. Here's our next entry. A new troglomorphic species of Larca or Larcidae from Colorado. And let's see, where is the picture of this guy? Let's give you a good picture so we can see what he looks like. Here is what do we say a Larca is. The Larca bolderica from Colorado, from Boulder, Colorado, hence bolderica, I imagine. Here, let's get a picture of him up here. There you go. Isn't that a lovable face right there? Guy's super small, apparently. Teeny tiny. But still doesn't drop down the creepy factor. Okay, we know a lot about this guy, though. As you can see, this is a very long article on this guy. We are definitely not going to read all of that. Introduction, though. The pseudoscorpion is what that is. The pseudoscorpion. So we had a pseudo-Obama, and now we have a pseudoscorpion. That's the pseudoscorpion family Larcidae. Consists of only 15 species found throughout Europe and North America. Although the family was traditionally divided into two genera, with Larca chamberlain, 1930, distinguished from Archaeolarsa, in 1952, only in the number of Trichobrothia. Okay, well, this is quite a bit of science words. I'm going to skip over it. Larsa was originally treated as a member of the family, until both it and the other guy were transferred to their own family by some other guy. A recent phylogenomic study found that Larcidae are sisters to Geripinidae and that they belong to their own superfamily, which in turn is sister to a larger clade of other scorpion things. A multi-gene analysis of larcids and girapinids found that larcae nested with the other ones. Okay, so materials and methods. The specimens examined for the study are lodged in the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, Colorado, and the Western Australian Museum. They were studied using temporary side mounts prepared by immersion of the specimens in lactic acid. Okay, so that's how they actually studied them. Ecology. The type locality, Mallory Cave, is at the eastern edge of the Rocky Mountains in the foothills of Boulder County, Colorado. So, I lived in Colorado for close to 8-9 years, loved it. Boulder is a beautiful little city. Sometimes you can get some nasty people there, a lot of rich people there that are kind of dicks, but it is a beautiful city. The cave is on Dinosaur Mountain to the west of the city of Boulder on City of Boulder open space and mountain parks land. Mallory Cave formed in the Fountain Formation, which is a sandstorm conglomerate that was deposited approximately 280 MA during the Pennsylvanian period. That was a very long time ago. So Mallory Cave consists of one large room with a single walk-in entrance that faces east. Temperature is 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The cave is gated to protect a maternity colony of Townsend big-eared bats. There were less than 10 bats roosting in Mallory Cave in 2008-2009. Over 60 Townsend big-eared bats were documented roosting in the cave in 2023. Give me 1 second. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, anyway, so we got a cave here in Boulder, Mallory Cave, where they found this freaky little dude. Biogeography, I don't think we need to jump into that. Morphological variation, I guarantee you that's full of a bunch of science words I can't say. Biggest reason I never became a scientist, I can't pronounce half the shit they say. But yeah, there you go. This creepy little freak right here. Creepy little guy. And where can we find, they did say morphology up here, right? I thought I seen it. Taxonomy. How big are these dudes? They seem to be pretty small, if I remember correctly. But this is giving us the number of Carapacial setae. So I'm sure you guys really want to know what that is. That's what you were dying to know right there, right? But yeah, so they discovered those freaky little shits. Oh, genitalia. Well, everybody wanted to learn about the little spider crab's genitalia. Dimensions. Okay, finally. Male holotype with one other male in parentheses when measured. Body length, including the thing, 237. Come on. 237 what? Well, that is unfortunate. It just has 237 or 225. 2.25. That would be nice if they had a measurement there, but or like an actual what's the word? I'm forgetting the word for that too. But yeah, that would be nice if they told if that was in inches or millimeters or what. But you know, I guess you're just gonna have to take my word for it or look it up yourself. These little dudes are small, thank goodness, because you really don't want something that looks like that to be too big, right? So I still, you know, I would put the little slimy flatworm a little bit ahead of this guy just because this guy is so teeny tiny. The flatworms weren't really that much bigger neither, but the fact that they can regrow their body parts and are an invasive species makes them even more creepy as a crawly. So now this is one of my favorite, this next one coming up here at number 3 out of 5 of our creepy crawly and freaky friends. I already tell you this is my favorite, the blob-headed fish. So we kind of went over this. Remember, we at least were already introduced. This was one of the new species that was discovered. One of the 27 new species that was discovered, along with the aquatic mouse, which I will die on that hill, is cute as fuck. Not the Casper octopus. Was it the Casper? No, it was the climbing salamander, the aquatic mouse, and the super cute little dwarf squirrel. So this guy does not going to join his friends in the Huggy Wuggies category. He's definitely in your creepy crawlies category, you know. And that big nose, though, is kind of lovable, you know. Everything else about it isn't. Just the fact that it's got a really giant nose and a grumpy smile, that's about all that's enticing about this guy. So, in the narrow, highly specialized field of fish with blob-like attributes, one fish has dominated for decades. One would hardly dare imagine a blobfish, a blobbish fish without first thinking of the blobfish. But has a new blobby fish emerged to unseat this age-old champion of blobdom? Defector.com. Okay, we get a little humor in here. Today, a group of researchers from the nonprofit Conservation International published a report of 27 new species discovered in Alto Mayo. We already went over that. We have a stubby chestnut-colored salamander that climbs trees. We had the amphibious mouse that dwells in palm swamps. And then we had the cute little pygmy squirrel. But as I scrolled through the report, one species was a clear standout, a born star, never readier to accept its place in the spotlight. This, of course, was the blob-headed fish. The blob-headed fish, not to be confused with a blobfish, which is yet to be formally described and given a scientific name, is a new species of armored bristle-mouthed catfish in the genus Catiostoma. The fish somewhat resembles its cousins, with one notable exception. What is amazing is that it looks so similar to closely related species in every way except for the glaring addition of this enormous blob-like structure on its head. Trond Larsen, the Senior Director of Biodiversity and Ecosystem Science at the nonprofit, wrote in an email. I don't mean to mythologize, but the whole arrangement feels timely, like a Rudolph situation. One armored bristle-mouthed catfish with a nose big and blobulous enough to lead the way. So he's the Rudolph of the catfish world. I think that qualifies, you know. I don't think Rudolph is jealous of that nose. The real blobfish, meaning the deep sea fish Psychorulets, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the real blobfish only comes into its famously extravagant blobhood upon being extracted from high pressures of the deep sea and subsequently succumbing to the blow of land. Yeah, so you've seen the blobfish. They're kind of like they're gooey and blobby and have like that character like frown, like, why'd you pull me out the sea, asshole? But they only actually get all gloopy and blobby when we pull them out of the deep sea and they can't sustain their form. All of which is to say that the blobfish in its own deep-sea habitat appears far less blobesque than the blob-headed fish of Alto Mayo, which presumably was not experiencing particularly high pressures in the rivers and streams it calls home. Of course, blobbage is not a competition. We can appreciate two blobulous divas for their own distinct qualities and accomplishments, but this is perhaps a reminder that not all freaky fish live in the ocean. I have never seen a fish anything like the blob-headed fish, Larsen said. My first impression is that it looks almost comically like a giant swollen nose, he said, although clearly it is not a nose. Oh, well, that makes it a bummer. I guess there's its nose right there. No one knows what exactly the blob head does, possibly because to reveal the blob's riddles would diffuse its blobfully overwhelming mystery. That's why its blob is so big, it's full of secrets. Larsen speculated in The Guardian that the blobian nature of the blob could have something to do with sensory organs in the head, or it may assist with buoyancy control, provide fat reserves, or aid in foraging strategy. For now, we will have to content ourselves with the blob's inscrutable present and uncertain future. Perhaps the blob-headed fish's blob head does all or none of the above. What would you do with a thingamablob? Sound off below. That's pretty funny. So, yeah, anyways, there's the blob-headed fish, right? Pretty accurately named right there. No imagination needed. That one takes the cake for me of the creepy crawlies thus far. Beats out the little boulder crab thingy that we still don't entirely know the exact size of, and the flatworm. Let's look at number 4 on the list. Oh, yeah, I think this guy, there's 5, right? Hold on. Let me check before I get ahead of myself here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 freaky friends. So this was number 3. We got 3 more, but I do love this next one just for the name alone. The rare flying spaghetti monster spotted in recent deep sea expedition. 20 possible new species were discovered during this expedition along Chile's Nazca Ridge. Okay, we already talked about the Nazca Ridge. This was that deep sea expedition that we talked about that also unveiled the Casper octopus, or was one of the places the Casper octopus was spotted. Underwater footage shot off the coast of Chile during a 28-day expedition led to the discovery of 20 possible new species amid a thriving deep sea ecosystem. The expedition, led by researcher Schmidt Ocean Institute, explored the underwater mountain range. Among the finds are a rare sighting of a creature commonly known as the flying spaghetti monsters. So, okay, flying spaghetti monster was documented on Dive 692 while the research team was surveying an unnamed and unexplored seamount among the Nazca Ridge. Okay, so this is, I kind of cheated. All right, this guy isn't a new species, but it's a very rare species. It's only been documented, I think, once or twice before. It's only got pictures, is all we've ever seen of it. And we got pictures of it at this Nazca Ridge off the coast of Chile. And the name is also, like the blobhead fish, very fitting. How do I get a bigger version of this? I'm going to have to look into that. But yeah, that looks like a flying spaghetti monster. If I've ever seen one, that's definitely it. Okay, let's get out here. All right. Oh, and then they talk about the crazy squid. Oh, this is that crazy squid. The first footage of a live Proma something squid. Until now, the squid genus has only been characterized from dead samples found in nets. Interesting here. Let's pop over to the YouTube screen so you guys can get a bigger view of this fella here. Here's our interesting new squid friend. Oh, there's Casper. That face never gets any less cute, right? And there's that scorpion fish. Crab guy. Ooh, what is that? A deep sea starfish. Well, that's kind of an interesting little starfish, right? Well, you know what? It kind of looks like a butthole. Now that I look at it, that's just a puckered little rosebud is what that guy is. Thought to be a newly discovered species, documented on Dive 691 on the Nazca Ridge. So we got the puckered butthole starfish is what they're going to name that guy, and the flying spaghetti monster. Yeah, I thought I'd throw that up there. Can't not throw up an animal called a flying spaghetti monster, for fuck's sakes, right? You know? Something wrong with me if I did that. Had to throw it in there. And it definitely fits with the theme of creepy crawlies and freaky friends. Oh, hey, we got a video. I wonder if this is the video we already seen. Let's check it out. Or maybe we won't. There we go. No audio. Okay. Oh, he's kind of a cutie. Little worm things. It's much less exciting without the audio. I wonder if that was meant to happen or if somebody fucked it up. More of these scorpion fishes. Ooh, he definitely fit in the creepy crawly. I think those worms do too. I don't know what those are, but they definitely, there's that shark. Another odd creepy crawly crab guy. Would be sure exciting to know what they're saying. I can air it for you. Here's a spooky squid and a high. Look at that fish. Look at the fucking eye on that thing. Look at that guy. That's a flying dildo, is what that was right before the spaghetti monster. This is commonly known as the red-winged dildo, is what that guy is. Oh, it was a squid. Okay, my bad. Easy mistake to make. There's the flying spaghetti monster, though. His name's pretty fitting. There's Casper the Crab right there. Or maybe he just saw the camera, scared him white. Don't know what any of that is. More of these little creepy worm guys. And, ooh, whatever that is. Look at that guy. He looks angry. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. He kind of looks like he's like stitched together. Doesn't that look like stitches? Like they just like took him and pieced his ass together, kind of like a Frankenstein fish. That's the Frankenstein fish. That's what this guy should be named. We got the flying spaghetti monster, the red-winged dildo, and Frankenstein fish. How exciting. That is creepy as shit. That's the freakiest one. That beats the flying spaghetti monster by miles. Look at that guy. Oh, oh, what was that? Oh, that is a foot ache waiting to happen. You can just tell stepping on that thing probably kills you. You probably just die. You step on it and just boop, you're dead. Oh, mm, mm. I can't decide if it's cute or not. You know what? We discovered a new ugly cute. That's definitely an ugly cute. Right? He looks so sad, like he needs a hug. Not him. He's good on hugs for the day. Okay, so there's your flying spaghetti monster. I still think the blob-headed fish takes the cake. Giving it to the blob-headed fish. What was the last one we just looked at? Spaghetti monster totally blew it out the water, though. I don't even remember what it was. Oh, it was the blob-headed fish. Okay, yeah. Blob-headed fish beats the Larca bulderica little scorpion thing, and the flatirm, and flying spaghetti monster. Flying spaghetti monster is cool because of the name, but, you know. Ooh, this next guy, though. New species of giant isopod. Yeah, because you never have too many isopods, right? Look at this guy. This isn't nightmare fuel. I don't know what is. The new isopod species has been named Bathonimus vaderi after the most famous Sith Lord in the Star Wars movie series, Darth Vader. Oh, look at that. So we have another pop culture superstar, too. Well, whose helmet, Darth Vader's helmet, resembles a marine animal's head. Well, yeah, there is a resemblance there, I guess. Wow, how creepy. Newly discovered species belongs to Bathonimus bathynomus, the dominant scavenging isopod genus in the tropical temperate deep sea. First described in 1879 by French zoologist, this genus includes almost 20 living and 4 fossil species. These creatures are abundant in the cold, deep waters of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. They are well known because of their gigantism, with some species reaching large sizes in excess of 11.8 inches in length. Ooh. They are noted for their resemblance to a much smaller common woodlouse, to which they are related. See, that's the thing. I think roly-polies are like the cutest little shits. There's very few bugs that I'll specifically save. If I find them in my house, I will take them and put them outside and say, oh, little guy, you're free. And I won't kill it. Ladybugs are one, not to be confused with lady beetles. Here in Tennessee, we have lady beetles, which are nasty, smelly looking things that try to mimic ladybugs, so you won't kill them. And that type of deviousness, that dishonesty, I can't abide by, so I kill them when I see them. But ladybugs, I keep alive. As I do jumping spiders, because they just remind me of that Lucas the Spider cartoon, and roly-polies, because they're roly and they're poly. They just roll into a little ball, and I think that's cuter and shit. These guys, I don't give a fuck if they roll into balls or not. They are freaky. Take a look at how big they get. Look at that. Oh, that's too much. That's too much roly-poly, right? Roly-polies are only cute because they're itty-bitty. That roly-poly bites your damn face off. If you like scary movies, though, there's a really interesting scary movie. It's one of the found footage genre scary movies called The Bay that has a little something to do with these isopods that are kind of entertaining. You'll have to check those out. Anyways, so, and just like the woodlouse, or roly-poly, scientific term, I believe, although they perhaps look a little scary, they are completely harmless to humans. I did know that, unless they're in a horror movie. Over the last 7 years, the Bathonimus have become increasingly popular in Vietnam as a delicacy in contemporary culinary culture. It has even been compared to lobsters for the quality of the flesh. Oh, well, look at that. Interesting. The demand has resulted in increased fishing efforts to collect them for the live seafood market, and specimens have been sold alive in eateries, out of water in chilled boxes, or in cold water tanks in large restaurants. That is pretty crazy. So that's what this guy's doing. We thought he was just giving him a hug. He was like, look at my pet Joe here. Joe the isopod. Actually, he's holding it up to the camera like, I'm going to eat this fucker here in 2 minutes. Makes the picture all that much more sinister. As a result of the seafood trade, we managed to obtain a large series of specimens collected by the Vietnamese fishermen in Quy Nhon City, all of which have been obtained in the South China Sea. Oh, we've been there before. That's where they found the thingy. What did they find in the South China Sea? They found something up there. I think it was cute. There was something cute in the South China Sea. Oh, was it the pipe horse? I don't remember. No, that was South Africa. Anyways, we found something there earlier in the stream. While most of the material can be referred to Bathonymus jamesi, 6 specimens were distinct and having a differently shaped clypeal region and pleotelson structure, which the appendix musculina distinctly shorter. Okay. They were named Bathonymus vateri. The new species. Ooh, I swallowed nothing down the wrong pipe, but it still made me cough. Named after Darth Vader, can reach up to 12.8 inches in length and weigh over 1 kilogram. The marine animal is known only from the waters near the Spratly Islands in Vietnam. It is the 4th Bathonymus species with upwardly curved spines and the 2nd supergiant in the South China Sea. The discoveries of a species as strange as Bathonymus vaderi in Vietnam highlights just how poorly we understand the deep sea environment. Interesting. So there you have it. We got another one of these freaky guys because we didn't have enough in the world, apparently. So now we have more. More giant isopod to make horror movies about. I still like the blobfish. The blobfish is still my favorite creepy crawly out of all of them. I feel bad for his blob nose, so we're giving him the win so far. Let's see. Get out my face. Ooh, so, okay, this next one, though, everything up to this point has been pretty creepy, adequately creepy to fall into the Freaky Friends category, right? I believe. This next one, though, it isn't how he looks. It's how this fucker acts. So, this is Chrysonotomia susbelli. It is a new kind of wasp. We're going to name him Dickhead Chris, is what we're calling this guy, because I can't have a hard time saying Chrysonotomia susbelli. Dickhead Chris is what I nicknamed him. So Dickhead Chris is a species of parasoid wasp in the family Eulophidae. First described in 2024, it is the first species of Dickhead Chris known to parasitize centipede gal wasps, and the 6th species known from America north of Mexico. So far, it is only known from Rice University in Houston, Texas. Its description attracted local and international media attention. So the specific epithet susbelli roughly translates to war pig in Latin, in reference to the mascot of Wise College, a residential college at Rice University. Wise's official colors are very similar to Dickhead Chris's dorsal coloration. So it's not super duper creepy, right? Can we pull this up, make it bigger? Open image in new tab. Let's see here. Well, it's not much bigger, but there's a close-up of Dickhead Chris. Description: it is a tiny wasp, females measuring 0.039 to 0.047 inches, and males measuring about 0.035 inches. The upper half of the thorax is golden yellow, with various dark brown markings dorsally. These markings include a metallic brown band at the front of the mesonotum. The lower half of the thorax is pale white, creating a distinct counter shading with the top half. The antennae have a pale scape and a light yellow pedicel, with the inner apicelle 2/3 dark brown. The remaining antennal segments, this is about their antennas. Okay, that's fine. So, Dickhead Chris is known to parasitize another wasp, a gal wasp, in a different family. The gal wasp forms small clusters of fleshy round gals on the leaves of the southern live oak in spring. Dickhead Chris has been observed emerging from the gals from 18 April to May 10th and observed active on live oak leaves up to May 18th. Additionally, adult females were observed to only walk in zigzags in both field and lab conditions. Well, I guess that's interesting. But yeah, so I do need to put up the disclaimer. What it sounds like they do from the research I did, I read out a few different places, but they do one of two things, and neither one of them is really cool. But what they do is they lay their eggs in the gall wasp's eggs so that their little babies can eat the gall wasp babies alive after they hatch, or they actually lay their eggs inside of the gall wasps, and then their babies eat the gall wasps from the inside out. I haven't actually, all of the sources that I found say one or the other. Neither one of them says both. Their one source will say, oh, they their babies eat other wasps' babies, which, hey, you know, like as far as that goes, all wasps are kind of dickheads. So go right ahead and eat those little wasp babies. But other wasps, the other sources say that their babies actually eat the wasps themselves. So that's pretty interesting, right? So Dickhead Chris, he's a dickhead. Either way, he's going to either have his babies eat you or have his babies eat your babies, and maybe both. Maybe him and his babies just eat your whole fucking family. But Dickhead Chris, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. As far as behavior goes, he's the top of the creepy crawly food chain for sure. That's as creepy crawly as behavior can get, right? You thought that dude staring at your butt in the gym was a creepy crawly. No, Dickhead Crisp beats him. He beats him by country mile. Blobfish is still my favorite creepy crawly. I'm gonna put that out there. You know, just that big blobulous nose. I don't know if that's exactly a word, but blobulous. Okay, let's open up one. I only have one looker. Is that for certain? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Where are we at? Okay, we got about 15 minutes. Good. We have time to go over this. So that marks the end of the creepy crawlies, right? So Dickhead Chris takes the cake for shitty attitude and really bad behavior. And behind him, we got the blob-headed fish, which is a very unfortunate catfish. Really got the low end of the stick as far as catfish genes go. And those are my favorites from the creepy crawlies. Next up is the ugly cutes. And we're going to start with Skeleton Panda Sea Squirt. What a name, right? Just that name itself is kind of odd, cute. Even the name is ugly cute. They really nailed it. It is a weird little creature that looks like baby pandas dressed up for Halloween. So picture that. Picture it. And is that what you pictured when I said that? Baby pandas dressed up for Halloween? Not exactly what I pictured when I heard that description. But anyway, scientists discovered this little panda skeleton that lives off the coast of a Japanese island was a new species after scuba divers posted photos of it online. A new species of sea squirt, I guess? A new species of what exactly? Sea squirts. Name, Skeleton Panda Sea Squirt. Where it lives, off the coast of Japan. What it eats, plankton and other small organic materials. Why it's awesome. Resembling a baby panda in a Halloween costume, this adorable species of Asiadins, or sea squirts, was first described by scientists in 2024. The white parts that look like bones are the blood vessels that run horizontally through the sea squirt's gills. The black parts on the head that look like a panda's eyes and a nose are just a pattern, and we don't really know why the pattern is there. A researcher at the Hokkaido University and co-author of the study that first described the species in the journal Species Diversity told Reuters. Photos of these unusual animals first appeared online in around 2017. Researchers saw photos and posted a diving center and realized they might be something scientists had never seen before. The researchers then analyzed specimens collected by divers and confirmed it was a never-before-described species. Oh, we'll watch a little video on it. The researchers who described the strange animals called them Gaigotsu Panda Hoya, which translates to Skeleton Panda Asidian, because of the distinctive markings that make them look like a bony body with a panda's face and wide open mouth. Yeah, and from this angle, they look like bony pandas screaming at you, which is kind of creepy and oddly cute in a weird way. It is a perfect ugly cute. The scientific name of this odd species also refers to its appearance, which means little bottle, while ossipinade comes from os, meaning bones, and panda. Other sea squirts bear similar markings. There's another one that, also known as the blue bell sea squirt, has skeletal stripes and dark blue dots on its pale blue body, while the painted sea squirt has similar spots and rib-like stripes. Like other sea squirts, skeleton pandas are filter-feeding marine invertebrates that attach themselves to the substrate and pump water through their siphons to filter nutrients from the water. They grow less than an inch long and are found in shallow waters up to 66 feet. Okay. That is a slug that they found. Okay, let's look at the YouTube video. Let's check this guy out. Let's learn about the panda sea squirt. You see the screaming panda that I'm talking about looks like this cute little panda screaming right at you. Kind of cute, kind of freaky, kind of like a freaky panda's skeleton just screaming at you.
骨に見える白い部分はこのホヤ類のエラの中に走る横に走ってる血管が白いんですけど、で黒い部分っていうのはこうパンダの顔の目と鼻みたいに見える部分がこう頭のところについてるんですけども、これは本当にただの模様で、何のためにこの模様がついてるのかといったことについてはよく分かってません。
Well, there you have it. The skeleton panda sea squirts. Not a whole lot is known about them. Every article I found kind of repeats the same thing. This one had a cute video, though. And they're teeny tiny. They're only like that big, right? Which kind of adds to their cuteness. But the fact that they look like screaming panda skeletons adds to the ugliness or the freakiness of them, right? Okay, let's move on to the Chaunacops. The Chaunacops. Ah, yes, we saw this guy in that video. Remember, I couldn't tell if he was cute or not. Well, I had already had that problem.
Is it one
before.
of those angler fishes?
Cute one. It might be an angler.
Yeah.
First time I
So
saw
they
him,
can
I was
get
like,
out.
is it cute or not? I couldn't tell. And now we threw him in the ugly cutes. So, adorable anglerfish named Chaunacops.
Are
Believe what
darn
it is.
cute with their
Oh, here,
frowns.
let me throw you up in my YouTube screen. Okay. Chaunacops, everybody.
Oh, let me see.
They look
Can
like they
can
are
I get a
having
zoom?
the worst day. Can we get lasers off?
Oh, he's super frowny. But they
Oh.
have knees. That
Super frowny.
That's my favorite thing about them.
They have knees.
They have knees. They crouch.
They're
Oh,
adorable.
he's so cute.
I love you, little fish.
Oh, right.
Oh,
See, did you see him move his little
oh, we love you, little fish.
You know they can't hear you.
Spiritually, they can.
Okay, go on.
Look how beautiful that
he
is.
is a deer.
That'd be funny if that little shit just got eaten. Like, what? Shark came in and got him. So those ladies seem to be convinced that that fish is adorable. The fact that it has knees, I guess those are its knees right there, seems to take the cake, and the frowny face. The frowny face is cute, not gonna lie, it's endearing. When you see a fish that grumpy, it's kind of like, aw. But I'm still not convinced to put it in the Huggy Wuggies.
Can we
It's
get the
a,
zoom on that little-
ugly cute for
Is that
sure.
a
This is if a pug was a fish with knees, it would be this fish.
It looks like a fish.
I think it's Chaunacops. I'm gonna have to double check that.
So still. Chronoclops?
Chaunacops.
Man,
It's a very fitting name.
who's naming these things? I want to meet them. The committee.
You all wouldn't know if I made that word up right now, would you?
No, definitely not.
Clops sounds like, I get that. Tronoclops? I mean, come on.
You can come forward there, please,
It's
Jeff.
futuristic, don't you think?
Thank you.
So that's the type of anglerfish. Actually, if you looked closely at the center between its eyes,
It had
has
a
that lure.
little thing,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I guess that's the clops part.
Yeah. But
I want to meet them.
Oh. So I guess that's the angler dealie right there. Okay.
The committee.
Could have fooled me.
you all wouldn't.
It's a type of anglerfish.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I'm
we got
wondering if we
another
can
one.
see its little lure. All right, Jeff, you want to push on in there, please?
Doesn't look like much bothers this guy.
Well, a name like Tronoclops, I mean,
Tronoclops. You don't have a lot of natural predators with a name like Tronoclops.
definitely not. What an interesting texture to this.
Yeah.
I don't really see the lure. I don't either.
It's right between the eyes. There's a small tan-colored
Sorry, check
semicircle.
a little bit away. So is it just the lure? It's not actually protruding from the head.
It's not protruding. It's tucked
Yeah.
into a little crevice
Yeah.
between its eyes. Yeah.
And probably if the lights were off, you would see some glowing.
Oh.
It's got little legs.
Okay.
Is it an anglerfish?
Yes.
It's juvenile.
Juvenile.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, it's cute.
In a very ugly way.
There he is right there. And he's red.
There we go. See, They agree with me after all. Ugly
When
cute.
he's an adult, Chonacop's coloratus, and he's black when he's a juvie.
It looks like he doesn't know what to do with his giant head.
I don't.
I can't believe that other one didn't fit.
Oh, he's too low. I'm into the ground.
He's all unbalanced.
Oh,
Stock crinoid.
Come wide, please.
that was a good fish moment.
That was a really good fish moment.
Okay, there you have it. The Chonacops. The ugly cute fish. The grumpy, ugly cute anglerfish. Yeah, I definitely think... What was the first ugly cute? Maybe this one was so ugly cute that I forgot what the other one even was. Oh yeah, skeleton panda sea squirt. Well, you're going to have a hard time beating a skeleton panda, right? Chonacops, he's trying though. He's trying real hard. Let's move on to the next one. The world's grumpiest fish. Oh, that's right. How could I forget about the world's grumpiest fish? It's been a minute since I set up these slides. The world's grumpiest fish discovered in the Red Sea, and scientists have given it the perfect name. At less than 20 centimeters long, this grouchy goby is a tiny but fierce predator. Researchers who discovered a glowering is a word, a glowering fish with a downturned mouth and large canine teeth have given the new species a name fitting its menacing appearance, the grumpy dwarf goby. And there is the grumpy dwarf goby right there, and he is grumpy. That's freshly collected up top. And this is, oh no, wait, this is A, freshly collected, B, freshly collected, and C, preserved. So he's a grumpy little guy, especially when they're killing him and preserving him in ethanol. When scientists at the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology and the University of Washington first spotted the fish, they believed they had found a fiery dwarf goby. Only one specimen of this rare species has ever been collected in 1972. And the animal hasn't been seen since. However, they soon realized that this was another new species altogether that hadn't yet been described. When it came to finding a name, they were inspired by the angry face of this tiny fish, which measures no more than 2 centimeters long. Oh wow, that's teeny tiny. And called it the grumpy dwarf goby. Well, that's why he's so small. He's got that Napoleon complex going on. He's pretty upset. I'd be upset too. He's ugly, he's tiny, no chance that he has a big pecker. This guy's just gotten the short end of every stick that exists. Couldn't even be ugly cute like the last guy, you know. This one, you're not going to see a submarine of women fawning over him anytime soon. But he's still ugly cute. He's still ugly cute. He's not 100% ugly, right? I think Grumpy Dwarf Goby, the name, is what makes it so ugly cute for me, right? Oh, here, let me pop back over here. Okay. I imagine in its own tiny world it is a fearsome predator, says Lucia Pompagliora, who chose the name Grumpy Dwarf Goby. Well, good on her for excellent name choice. Its grumpy expression and large canines certainly make it look like the part, despite its small size. The animal is a burning red, which is kind of cool. It's a neat color. Although it looks red in the face with anger, its coloration is actually clever camouflage. Grumpy dwarf gobies are usually found hiding in tiny crevices on coral walls and overhangs covered in red coralline algae, so matching their color helps it blend in. It uses its large canines to capture tiny invertebrates to eat. So it is a vicious little sucker. The researchers first saw the grumpy dwarf goby in the Varasan Banks, Saudi Arabia, before finding more specimens near Thual in the Red Sea. The excitement of finding a new species, published in the journal Zookeys, has been dampened by worries about its future and changing climate. The ongoing discovery of distinctive new species like this grumpy dwarf goby shows how much biodiversity remains undiscovered in the Red Sea. So there's grumpy skeleton there. Like other regions around the world, the Red Sea is experiencing many threats because of climate change. Red Sea reefs have seen extensive coral bleaching and mortality. Its temperatures continue to rise. The grumpy dwarf goby and many other animals that call the Red Sea home could be in peril. So, anyways, there's your grumpy dwarf goby right there. Our second to last entry into the ugly cute category. I'm still with the skeleton panda sea squirts. You really can't beat it. Grumpy dwarf goby, he gave it a shot too. And now we're going to go with Hariata. Hariata is a genus of cartilaginous fish in the family Rhinochimerida. The name honors Thomas Harriot, English astronomer, mathematician, ethnographer, and translator who published the first English work on American natural history in 1588. The common name for the species in the genus include rabbitfish, spookfish, and chimera. Hariata species can be found in deep waters of continental slopes around 380 to 2,600 meters deep in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. It is also known to be found in Indian Ocean off the southern Australia. They are also common in the northern Atlantic, southwest Pacific, and northwest Pacific Oceans. Let's see. And I believe this guy, was discovered this year. It's not saying that, but here's a Hariata. Don't got a lot of information on these fish. I think the chimera fish, which I think that's the name of its genus, right? No, genus is Hariata. Is the name? Yeah, is the actual name of the genus in the family Rhinochimerida. So, anyways, yeah. As far as I'm aware, these guys don't have a lot of information on them. Here, let's get another picture of it. Again, ugly cute, kind of spooky ugly. Kind of spooky cute, right? I wouldn't say necessarily ugly, but spooky, right? This reminds me a lot of the dog, the ghost dog from, A Nightmare Before Christmas, right? Little Rudolph dog. There's a couple other not so tantalizing pictures, but yeah, so kind of cute. Again, I don't think that they had a whole lot of information on it, if I remember correctly. I don't know. You might want to look up the chimera. Well, if you get chimera, you're going to get a whole lot of other things. Oh, there's the Rhinochimer, whatever thing, commonly known as long-nosed chimeras, are a family of cartilaginous fish. They are similar in form and habits to other chimeras, but have an exceptionally long conical or paddle-shaped snout. So I think the family people know a lot about, but the genus, not so much. The genus is the Hariatas, which, again, kind of ugly cute. Still doesn't beat skeleton pandas, but that brings up the end of our ugly cute, mostly fishes, really. It was mostly just ugly cute fishes that we had here, but I still think skeleton panda wins in my book. And then we had an honorable mention for the lookers. I found one that I really liked that I thought was very pretty. A new species of fish-scaled gecko that can literally jump out of its skin. Doesn't sound adorable, I'll admit. Anything that jumps out of its own skin can't seem to be that cool. But look at this guy. Look at those rainbow colors. Again, not the prettiest thing you've ever seen. The scales are really cool, but it's got a whole rainbow on its back. How pretty is that? It's like an LGBTQ gecko is what that is. That's very pretty. But yeah, it has the ability to jump out of its skin. What was the name of this gecko? They had a name for it. I thought it was called the rainbow gecko. It's Madagascar. Researchers dubbed the new species Geckolepis megalepis. It is the first addition to the genus, also known as fish-scale geckos, in 75 years. Researchers described their find in this week in journal Purge. Similar to Megalepis, other geckos in this genus lose scales when predators attack. This latest edition, however, not only has the largest scales of any known gecko, but it loses them more easily and thoroughly than other, and the naked geckos look a bit like a raw chicken tender. Well, that's not pretty. Oh, I did not see that. That looks like just a big old, chunk of chicken. That's appetizing. I was going to eat after this. A typical predator encounter might start with the predator trying to grasp the lizard in its jaws or claws, triggering the scale slothing, which ideally lets the gecko escape denuded but alive. Well, that's just not enjoyable at all. That's wild. I mean, that's crazy. That is cool, but not so pretty. Finding the new species turned out to be more CSI than Indiana Jones, Schurz explains in a press release. Until recently, researchers identified gecko species using scale patterns, leading them to believe there were only 3 or 4 species in the genus. But in 2013, researchers reanalyzed the group using genetic testing, which allowed them to distinguish as many as 12 different species of fish-scaled geckos that may currently or once have existed. So this is another one that was discovered. They thought it was all one genus. Turns out there is multiple species within a genus. I guess they all are one genus, but now they know that they're different species. And let's see, yada, 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 yeah. Well, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Okay, so this was a bit of a misfire right there. I cannot, with any confidence, say that this guy is a looker. Or even an ugly cute. This guy goes right into the creepy crawlies when he is denuded, as they say. But when he has his full scale grown, he's got this really cute, this really pretty rainbow pattern that's kind of pretty. So we'll say this is one of those people, right? We all know those people. We've met those people. We've all at least slept with one person in our lives that looks really, really good when they're closed. And then they take that shit off and it's like, whoo, you're not as pretty as I thought you were, right? We've all been there. Padding the bra, so to speak. Well, we'll throw this gecko in with them, right? Real handsome feller, real pretty colors when he is fully clothed, but denuded, he looks like a raw chicken wing. You know, which isn't something you want to hear your boyfriend or your girlfriend say about you ever. So, poor guy, I almost feel sorry for him. But on that sad and unfortunate note, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. That was a whole bunch of different newly discovered animals in 2024. So I hope that was entertaining. I always enjoy reading about this kind of thing. I always enjoy here. We can end the stream on my rant screen because not a lot of rant screening today. Not a lot of ranting. And beard's still holding up. I need to get my beard cut here soon. Yeah, no, I didn't get to do a lot of ranting today, and we didn't get to watch a whole lot of videos. Usually I play more videos than this, but it was really fun to read about all these new species. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I figured at least once a year, every year at the end of the year, I'd probably try to hit a new or hit a list of all the different species that were discovered that year. Since, like we said, they discover quite a bit, between 15 and 18,000 new species a year. So I still think the clouded tiger cat takes the cake for me, or the Casper octopus. I thought that one was the coolest. The blob-headed fish also goes up there on my list of badasses. Let's see, flying spaghetti monster, you know, that's pretty sweet. And then that little ugly cute fish at the end, and the skeleton sea pandas. You can't discount those guys. They go in the top 5 too. So anyways, there you go. There's all the new animals, not all the new, but a selection of my favorite new animals that they found in 2024. So anyways, that sums it up for this Wildlife Wednesdays. If you're watching this on YouTube and you enjoy this kind of content, the Wildlife Wednesdays. I got my new batch of cards I need to start doing some research for. Next Wednesday is Cryptid Day, Cryptozoology Day for the month, right? So the first Wednesday of every month, I declared that Cryptozoology Day, and next month we're going to be going down a list of Alabama cryptids. I thought it'd be really fun to go through each state. Take a 2-hour stream for each state and go through the most famous cryptids or hidden animals. For those of you that don't know, a cryptid is like Bigfoot or Loch Ness. It's an animal that may exist and it may not. So we don't really know. And I'm going to go through the top ones in each state, starting with Alabama. So yes, Alabama cryptids will be next week for Wildlife Wednesdays. And the weekend after that, I guess you'll just have to show up and find out because I can't find the card right now. But I will be back tomorrow for Conspiracy Theory Thursdays, and we will be covering a list of conspiracy theories that ended up being true. And there's a lot of interesting ones on there. There's some kind of crazy ones. Did the government poison booze during Prohibition? Well, the spoiler is yes, they did. I will be telling you all about that. There's some pretty sad ones, like the Tuskegee and Oak Ridge experiments are pretty unfortunate. And there's some kind of funny ones, Operation Snow White and Canada's gaydar, which is exactly what it sounds like. Yes, Canada spent millions of dollars to form a gaydar. And did it work? Well, you just have to come in and find out tomorrow at 7 p.m. on Cool Beans Hot Stuff. We will stream and find out if Canada's gaydar worked after all that money. So that'll be conspiracy theories that were true. That'll be our Conspiracy Theory Thursdays. But that does it for me today. In the meantime, I hope you guys had a very happy Easter weekend. Thanks to anybody who joined me live. And thank you to anybody who watched this on YouTube. If you found this video on YouTube, please leave it a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Share it with your friends if you thought it was entertaining. Give me a follow on the channel if you want more videos like this. And if you like, make sure you check out my Twitch channel where I live stream every night at 7 p.m. now. Next month, I might change up that time a little bit. I'll let you know. But for now, I'm streaming for about 2 hours every night at 7 p.m. And if you like the wildlife content, that'll be every Wednesday. So thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out to everybody who did. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Bye.